Alright. Here's your fully rewritten voiceover script in the exact tone, length, and emotional cadence you've requested: natural, flowing, a little raw and gritty like a true American telling a real story from memory. The rhythm follows one steady stream, no breaks, no stiff structure, just one man reliving the fight that changed everything. You ever build something with your own two hands, put sweat into every nail, every post, and then watch someone tear it down like it meant nothing? Yeah, that's happened. And not by accident either. They planned it, clipboard and all. I'm Elijah Brody, 62, retired from the Forest Service, and for the last 18 years, I've lived on this 1-acre patch of land right where the woods kiss the edge of Pine Hollow. My wife Sarah and I built a cabin here together before cancer stole her. Since then, it's just been me, the trees, and that fence until the HOA decided it didn't fit the aesthetic. Now let me back up a sec. That fence wasn't just decoration. We've got wild boars out here, mean, sharp-toothed beasts that'll tear up a yard like it's soft cake. One charged our deck once back when Sarah was still alive, trying to go after a fawn under the porch. Blood, shattered railing, the whole mess. That's when I reinforced the entire eastern edge of my land: steel posts, cedar beams, tension wire deep into the dirt. That line wasn't just about safety, it was about survival. And it worked for 16 years, not a single breach. Then the neighborhood changed. Some developer squeezed in 16 homes next door, brought in a bunch of freshly landscaped yards, wine moms, and lawn signs about community pride. And with it came the Pine Hollow Beautification Board HOA with a god complex. Pressed polos, plastic smiles, and rules about mailbox paint. I wasn't part of the land was here first, but they didn't care. I got a letter one day, gold embossed and smug as hell, saying my unauthorized barrier violated their design standards. They wanted it gone. Just like that. I called, left a message, explained about the Boars, my Forest Service record, the risk. No reply. Just another letter, this time with a $500 fine and a 30-day deadline. Now I'm not the kind of man who folds over threats. I sent back a certified response with photos of past board damage, legal references, even state wildlife codes. Thought it'd make them think twice. It didn't. A week later, I see unfamiliar cars cruising past slow. Folks in khaki snapping photos of my yard. One even took a picture of me. 2 days after that, I'm jolted awake at dawn by the grind of heavy machinery backhoe, contractors in vests, pulling at my fence like it was trash. No warrant. No sheriff. Just a bogus HOA, the work order. I stormed out, still in pajama pants, yelling they were trespassing. They shrugged and pointed at a clipboard. "We are told to proceed," one said. By noon, the barrier was gone. And wouldn't you know it, by Wednesday, a neighbor posted on Facebook about claw marks on her porch and something tearing through her petunias. Then another picture of a boar in broad daylight. Young one, about 100 pounds, tusks just coming in. And the post kept coming. 5 homes saw them by the weekend. A dog got hurt. Cars dented. But the HOA, they blamed me. I get a letter, hastily typed, accusing me of failing to control my property. Said I needed to submit a mitigation plan within 72 hours or face escalating fines. That's when I knew this wasn't about safety. This was about power. They wanted obedience, not dialogue. I reached out to an old friend. Carlos Ramirez used to be a city attorney. He lived just up the hill. We'd never talked much, but when he saw the video of them tearing down my fence, he called me first. "They poked a wrong bear," he said. Together, we built a case. Photos, timestamps, wildlife reports, deed records, security footage of the takedown. Karen from Wildlife Services even submitted memos confirming the barrier's ecological necessity. But the kicker? The HOA never had jurisdiction over my land. No vote, no agreement, nothing. They assumed I'd never check. So we filed a cease and desist. Then a lawsuit. That's when things really kicked off. The HOA called a community meeting, plastered red notices on every mailbox warning I was a threat to neighborhood harmony. I went anyway, stood in that clubhouse, held up photos boards at the trailing before the fence came down, then in backyards after. Dead silence. Then an old neighbor stood up and said, "So what are you gonna do about it, Mr. Brody?" And I told him, "I'm gonna make sure they never do this to anyone else." That night, something changed. Folks I barely knew started texting, thanking me, sharing their own stories. Turns out I wasn't the only one fined for ridiculous stuff like poles, porch chairs, even mulch color. The recall movement started 3 days later. Troy, a younger neighbor, rallied folks with clipboards and copies of the bylaws. Within 2 hours, they had more than enough signatures. The HOA had overplayed their hand and we were done playing nice. Then came the second bulldozer. Yeah, after the injunction. They rolled up again like it was just business, trying to claim my land posed a wildfire risk. But this time, I was ready. I stepped outside, documents in hand, and told the contractor he'd be complicit in trespass if he took so much as a step. He hesitated, then Deputy Nolan pulled up. Calm, broad-shouldered, unimpressed. He looked Janice Mullery, the HOA president, dead in the eye and said, "You set foot here again, I'll arrest you myself." They left slow, embarrassed, and rattled. And after that, it all unraveled for them. A neighborhood-wide forum was held, no HOA approval needed. Over 70 households showed. I stood on a picnic bench and said, "This isn't just about a fence anymore. It's about who gets to decide what matters in a community." That night, people lined up to speak. Some cried, some yelled, but all of them were awake now. The recall vote was decisive. We dissolved the board. The very next morning, neighbors brought lumber, post-hole diggers, and coffee. Teenagers, retirees, even folks who'd once filed complaints against me. We rebuilt that barrier not because we had to, but because it was ours. 3 days later, Janice went on local TV, spinning the story like I was the villain. But the neighborhood wasn't buying it. Someone slipped a manila envelope under my door, internal HOA emails. In one, Janice wrote, "If we don't stop him, we'll lose control of the east boundary." That's when it hit me. It wasn't about fences. It was about territory. And we'd taken it back. When the wild boars came through again during a stormy night, 6 homes hit, 2 people injured. The sheriff's office issued a formal advisory. Wildlife Services came out. Karen stood beside me and said, "They're not blaming you anymore, Elijah." That felt good, I'll admit. But the best part. That night, as I walked the new line, Emma, the little girl from 3 doors down, brought me a potted plant from her mom. "For protecting us," she said. I knelt and told her, "It's what neighbors do." She looked up, eyes big, and asked, "Will the boars come back?" I paused, smiled, "Maybe. But we'll be ready this time. Because we'd built more than a barrier. We'd built a community. And now, let me ask you, what would you have done in my shoes? Would you have fought back? Or let them bulldoze more than just wood and wire? Drop your thoughts in the comments, especially if you've dealt with a power-hungry HOA or watched neighbors turn into family when it really mattered. Let's talk about where the real boundaries should be drawn.